still, or should I be trying to move?
You should be moving a little bit left and right.
Like grappling moving?
Not grappling moving, swaying a little bit left and right, jumping left and right. You get the rhythm down when you do the Widow headshots only. When it comes to Widow, you that sensitivity that you are currently using, yeah, you're using my sensitivity, right?
Yeah.
So that sensitivity is built for micro flicking. So what you want to do is you want to there's two ways people typically track. They either track with the crosshairs or they track with their eyes. People who track with their crosshairs are linear ramp widows. Most people like me track with our eyes, so we can. So when it comes down to these moving targets, the first thing you want to do is you want to match your crosshair speed with the moving target. So they're moving at the same. So both your crosshair and the target is moving at the same rate, and then you want to micro flick. You want to track them with your eyes, and then micro flick the crosshair over to their head. Just like that.
You got what's coming to you.
Or well,
So,
something like that. I'm not looking.
crosshair, and then like once it gets close to their head, flick it to their head.
No, that's tracking with their crosshair. You don't need to be looking at the crosshair. Be tracking their head with your eyes. Look at their head with your eyes, and then bring your crosshair over to the center of your eyes.
Okay.
I've got you in my sights.
Wait for it. A legend.
Ooh, that was okay.
See?
Enemy in my
You're already improving.
So bring my crosshair.
I've got you in my sights.
and stay there. Down for the count. Here you go.
I've got you in my sights.
And stay.
I've got you in my sights.
Yeah, let me grab Widow.
Whoa! I didn't know you could stand here. Look.
One
I've
shot.
got you in my sights.
A little bit crazy.
The enemies of Dublin will be triple.
See, I just got 3 headshots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I for the beginning. Here, let's actually hang on. Let's actually do this in a place where practicing Widows actually. Fucking do this in a place where I usually practice Widow. Let me use it real quick, BRB.
Welcome to Rialto.
So you don't look at the crosshair at all?
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
What happened? Did it just pull us out? Oh no, wait. I'm in the. Okay. Yes. Okay.
One shot.
So you don't look at the crosshair at all?
God, I need to do this again.
Enemy in my sights.
Like a little.
I'm tracking. For me personally, I track it with my peripheral vision. So like the center of my eyes are on the crosshair, but my peripheral vision is tracking them.
One after another.
And it's better if we do this over here. Come over here. The bots will follow wherever the fuck we go, so we get to choose where we fight. So when I start, I usually like to start in this location. If you instead of viewing this as like a game, and if you view your screen as a two-dimensional graph, you'll notice that these bots are basically moving only on the x-axis, moving just left and right. Of course, there's like a little incline here, so they're moving a little bit up and down. But being here, you can kind of get the origin point of your graph, which is your crosshair, to line up with the head, which is the dot that moves. And here, the dot only moves on the x-axis, right?
Yeah.
However, you complicate things when you go on to high ground, because now they're moving on the x and y graph, moving up and down, and they're moving at various different rates, depending on how high you are compared to the ground. So if you just look at their heads and you picture this as a graph, like so, keep your here's a good idea.
I like head level.
Hang on. Come up here. Keep your crosshair on the center of that spray. Watch all the soldiers. Watch the soldier head hitboxes go by, and you notice how they move across the x and y axis at different rates. This would change. This changes radically depending on how high you are from the ground compared to where they are.
So do you have this? So when you move it, you have that aim assist? It's like pulling.
Oh yeah, it pulls. It pulls a little bit.
Okay.
The 10 aim assist window is small enough so it doesn't pull that much.
Yeah.
So you see Soldier 77?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like tracking my movement with this crosshair, and as I'm tracking with the movement of the crosshair, I'm kind of looking identifying, and then once I understand his movement pattern, what his animation looks like, I can go for the flick. And the faster you get at this, the faster your shots can be, and the faster your shots get, the smaller of a window that you can get a kill from.
I've got you in my sights.
And you know what I mean by like the window of kill, right?
I've got.
Yeah. Oh. It's a
See?
little bit insane.
I've got you in my sights.
Double kill. Double kill.
Americans.
I've got you
Okay,
in my sights.
notice these guys coming in all the way at the end here. They're not their head hitboxes are not moving that much because they're so far away.
Yeah.
Their head hitboxes are not moving that much. That makes them easier shots to hit. But however, when they're up here and closer to us, it makes it harder to hit. So this is what I'd like to call the extreme angles. So if you look at me, so look at me. So we have the flat horizon line, right? This is like our 0-degree horizon line. And then as you move up and down, the shots get harder and harder. So if you try to say shoot here, look down on the edge. If you try to shoot me when I'm down here, these shots are insanely hard to hit. So try not to go for shots where they're like so below you, because this is so ridiculously hard to try to hit. That's not feasible. So instead, try to look to keep them closer to the horizon line. The closer the enemy is to the horizon line, the easier the shot will be.
Okay, I see what you mean.
No one can hide from my sight.
And of course, at horizon line, it makes it easier.
Hide from my
Yeah.
sight.
the less radical of the y-axis movement, the easier the shot will be.
Triple kill.
Though of course, as you get more and more skilled, you'll be able to expand you'll be able to expand how far your y-axis movement is. And you'll sometimes make extreme shots, like, if you took a look at the, if you, slow down the video from what I sent you, that first, the hook shot on the Mercy, if you were to actually slow down that video...
Are you okay, dude?
I'm sick.
Oh,
So here's a good thing. If you scroll into 9 seconds.
The enemies of Talon will be eliminated.
Yeah. Send you a picture. See that image I just sent you? It's a horribly pixelated image, but it's an image nonetheless.
yeah.
So I've put my crosshair in a spot. Oh god. So I've put my crosshair in a location that's, you know, relatively I can see her. At this point, I am tracking her with my eyes, watching her movement. And if you watch the video in slow motion, you can see. If you watch the video in slow motion, which I don't think do we get slow motion access here? Oh, we do. Playback.
No one can hide.
So if I'm going to go back to 9 seconds. So if you view it on YouTube, you can actually turn the playback speed down, and you can watch me put the crosshair up in a location, slowly track with my eyes where it's going, and then flick over and to get the shot. And then I move on from the Mercy target to the Ana, which was passive aiming. And then the Lucio was actually a hook. The Lucio is actually I did the same duplication of a hook shot. So there's two different types of aiming, right? There's active aiming and passive aiming. Active aiming is when you're actively trying to get your crosshair onto the enemy target. Passive aiming is when you hold your crosshair in a certain location and wait for them to come out. And a good idea is like, remember when I taught corner theory?
Yeah.
If I taught corner theory to you, so if you look at me. Look at me. No, look at me. Stay at a distance, but look at me. You, passive aiming, you would keep your crosshair until I move my head into it. That's passive aiming, right?
Okay.
So, part of how to do hook shots is, it's a combination of both active and passive aiming. You should always be doing the, active and passive aiming. You should always know it. So, when you hook up, active aim to get your crosshair up and over the head, like above the head of the target that you're looking for, and let the gravity pull your crosshair down into their head, and then you shoot. Once you see that, that's how you get the hook shots off.
Okay, I see what you mean.
There we go. See, like that. Got a headshot.
I see what you mean.
See, like that.
Oh.
I've got.
The enemies of Talon will be eliminated.
Of course, the more the target moves, the harder this gets.
I've got you in my sights.
But this is actually quite good for killing widows, because widows don't move that much.
See, my right thumb makes my fucking crosshair go everywhere.
This is where you get a control freak, because that will help with that. Do you know what a control freak is and how it works?
Yeah.
Do you have one?
Do you have a higher one?
Yeah, I have the highest one. but I also have like a really big hand.
I've got you in my sights.
So you can kind of just sit here, keep grappling this tower and practicing hook shots.
I've got you in my sights.
Oh yeah. So you flick too, right? On the hook shot?
On the hook shot, I flick to bring it above their head, to bring it ahead of, bring it above their head, and let the gravity bring my crosshair down onto the head. So you want to make sure that you have a dotted line, or you can draw a vertical line between your crosshair. There's a perfect vertical line between your crosshair that lines up from the crosshair to their head, so that when the gravity falls, so when gravity pulls you down, you get the head.
This is gonna take a lot of practice.
Oh yeah, takes a fuck ton of practice. This is an advanced skill. This is like one of the more advanced skills. Not one that you do often, because you typically save your hook for what is it? For getting away and for defense and escape. And then you can get a little bit more complicated. So what you and I have been doing is going straight up. You can get a little bit more complicated and start adding a Z-axis into it. So you start grappling in directions. So you start grappling in a direction, and then you start moving hands. Well, that's not very good roll. So you start grappling in a direction, and you move across.
See what you mean?
See? Like that.
Yeah. Crazy.
Of course, these shots are even harder, but they're even harder to hit you. I think you and I hit the same target. There we go.
Oh damn, that was intense. I was trying to hit the one going up the stairs while I was up in the air.
Americans.
So do you like, I guess, so you kind of don't pick out a target till you're up there, huh?
Yeah.
Music to my ears.
But usually when you go up there, you have to keep it, you have to kind of know where people are, like a rough estimate as to where they are, so you can get your, so that when you scope in, your crosshair's already in a location that you can easily flick to. Because if you have no idea where the person is, then your like if you have no idea where any of them are, then your crosshair is going to be so far away that you're going to miss the shot within the given time window that you have. Then this also gets a little bit more dangerous when you're talking about trying to do that to Widowmakers. Because if you do it, because if you hook shot at a high velocity, you create a shorter window time for you to make that shot, which makes the shot harder to hit. However, if you slow down your velocity, you make the enemy Widow has an easier time shooting you.
What's your scope sensitivity for her?
90.
I think, yeah, mine's at 100. And what about the grappling hook sensitivity?
70.
Okay, mine is at 60.
The enemies of Talon will be eliminated.
I've got you in my sights.
Double kill.
How beautiful.
Okay. It's starting to make sense a little bit.
Starting to understand this
put
now?
two and two together. Kinda, and then I go try to do the fucking flying one, and then...
Well, that's an advanced skill. I recommend you learn how to actually... do that.
Like hit
Be
shots
able
first.
to learn how to actually get headshots while standing on high ground first before I recommend doing the hook shots.
Oh,
Because they'll coincide with each other as I'm just sitting here destroying people.
Americans.
Yes. So I would start on flat ground to make things easier, and then move yourself up to high ground, and then from high ground, once you've got like high ground down, you can start working on the hook shots.
and you move too while you hit these headshots,
Yes.
right?
I've
So
got
do you
you in
move
my
with them
sights.
or just
I've got
randomly?
you in my sights.
I move. So I move to make little fine adjustments, but largely I'm moving just so I don't stay still. Because if you stay still, you're an easy headshot. If you stand still, you're an easy headshot. So you can get easily killed by something you don't know is there. So at least when you move, you can kind of at least when you move, you're harder hit. But then once you start playing in the Widow service more, you'll get a more accurate representation about how you actually should be moving and how you should be taking your shots. So if you look at me, instead of moving back and forth like this or standing still, you want to be jumping, crouching, moving, jumping, crouch, move, jump, shoot, jump, move, shoot, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's a rhythm. It's a movement. It's a pattern.
Yeah.
And by doing stuff like this, you can dodge more shots, win more fights against Widowmakers. You get the rhythm down, and you understand how to move, so you won't die as often, and you have more time to get your shots. It just makes doing shots hard. But when you're at, but as long as you're like safe, when you're safe, like in a typical scenario, if we were standing here and our front lines up there, then yeah, we're kind of safe and we can kind of keep moving. But if the enemy team is up here where these soldiers are, then yeah, I'd start moving a little bit more sporadically. You'll miss more shots, but at least you won't be dying.
Yeah.
And as you do like more and more of the Widow headshots, you'll get better. And then just got quad.
Double kill.
It's a menace.
Double kill. Triple kill.
Americans. Oh, Mel.
Okay, yeah, I did like looking with my eyes and then bringing it to it, kind of.
Hey, so, oh wait, hey, wait, fuck, Soap didn't join the group.
A legend falls.
Whoa. This shit actually makes me have to fucking try.
Double kill.
It takes focus and concentration, which is why DPS are not typical, which is why you don't have to worry about comms and talking. You can just focus on making your shots and listening to listening callouts. And then also making like location callouts for yourself. Like I often make the call out headshot Zarya, headshot Diva, Ashe low top left. You know, simple callouts. I'll make callouts like that. But that's like after a fight has been that's after your fight's been concluded. Like they typically run away or something.
Yeah.
No one
I've
can
got you in my sights.
sight.
So when you use sights, that's when you do like the passive
Kill.
aiming, right?
Um,
You in my sights.
no, active and passive, but passive aiming you can pull off like far more often because you can see them coming behind the walls. So the biggest benefit about infrasights is that it gathers information. So if you don't know where someone is, if you don't know where the enemy team is, you can get that information.
Double kill.
It can also give you a hands up
No
when
one
you're in
can
a duel.
hide from my sight. Widowmaker here.
So you could just like barely peek the corner and kill her, kill the other widow.
Well, typically when you activate ult as Widow, the enemy Widow will activate her ultimate, and then you're just in checkmate.
I've got you in my
Kind of like just
Counter,
same
yeah.
life.
Yeah.
If you ever here, look at me.
Enemy in my sights.
Where are you?
Right here.
There.
No
So
one can hide
look at me.
from my sight.
That's Soap. That's not me. That's Mr. Soap. Okay. So, if you had infrasights on, and you're the enemy Widow, and I don't have sights, so you have sights and I don't. If I just do this to you, it makes it look like I'm going to peek around this corner, but I never actually do. But you can't move your eyes off me, because if you move your eyes off me, I might peek around this corner and kill you. So I keep you in check because you have to keep looking at me. Got it?
Yeah.
So that's
see.
something you can do if the enemy Widow has sights and you don't. You can kind of just like sit there and keep her in check. Because if she's busy looking at you and you're never engaging her, then she's not killing someone else using her sights.
Yeah.
And you take her out of the fight.
Double kill.
I see what you mean.
A legend
Double kill.
I definitely see what you mean. Guys.
Mhm.
And then you bring your crosshair to it.
enemy in my sights.
I'm not really focusing. I'm kind of tired.
Oh, music to
Yeah.
my ears.
This shit's crazy. I like it. See, that's kind of why Overwatch is a little bit addicting for me. Because the skill gap on everything is fucking insane.
Learning's the fun part. I get to coach it because I know it.
Yeah, and when you coach stuff,
Double kill.
you get better at it. Like, you understand.
And people understand. And people actually understand me when I coach something, unlike a lot of other coaches who just kind of like bitch and complain that you should have done A, B, and C.
A legend falls.
Telling the person the answer to the question doesn't help them. You need to tell them the questions that conclude to the answer.
Yeah.
And a good example of this is don't scream at the person to go far up. Ask them, do they have any hit scan, so they understand to ask that question to themselves. Do they have any hit scan? Yes? No? No? They don't have any hit scan? Then you should probably go far up.
Triple kill.
Impressive music to my ears.
It's always better to give them the questions so that they conclude to the same answer. I'm just taking all the kills. Oh my god.
Double kill.
Right? From all that way, fucking. From all the way over there, too.
Yeah, I'm a skilled widow.
I can tell.
One after
Fucking,
another.
that clip showed me.
Got you.
Hello. No one can hide from my sight.